Holy poop. These infected used to be OP as fuck. Don't believe me? Well, during development of Left 4 Dead 1, the Hunter and Smoker were able to release their targets after pinning them as much as they desire. So yeah, that kind of poses a balancing issue. Incap or critically injure a player to the point of limping, GTFO, and quickly pin another player. There were some interesting features that were stripped from the infected during the development of both games. Many of them underwent some meager and drastic changes to become the famously beloved infected we all know of today. Starting with Boomy, who originally did not coat nearby players in bile when he popped, instead he dealt damage. Due to the initial vision of the Boomer, their sole mission was just to pop. It wasn't until they scrapped the classified infected to have Bear, our horde attracting, bile projecting, rowdy grumbling Boomy, the one we all know and love. Hunty was overkill. At first, when it pounced a survivor, there would be no red light around the victim, no special visual indicator highlighting the slaughter. What? It had the ability to lunge when they're not crouching, another skill to physically assault the survivors and maneuver swiftly. What the? When it was backed up against a wall, it will be able to become invisible, regenerate health, and pounce from that position. What the fuck? After several alterations and the development of Hunty, it was simply reduced to leaping and pouncing. There's an unused animation of Hunty hanging upside down. So if there's a next game, okay. That could be an innate ability he possesses, clinging into ceilings or at least provide spots on ceilings where Hunty can pounce from. Smokey's initial design had more emphasis on the smoker's spell. Its primary ability was to seemingly release a haze of pitch black smoke, which would push any nearby survivors once the smoke had been emanated from the smoker, and poison damage anyone who was exposed to the harmful fumes. The damage inflicted would turn into temporary health. Its functions was to sneak up on the survivors in a cloud of smoke, seize any one of them, and pop out again to leave the unlucky survivors stranded. So to my understanding, the smoker creeps on the survivors, surprise bitch, smoke screen, kidnaps a player, then
unclear.
I'm befuddled by the latter half. What does pop out again to leave the unlucky survivor stranded mean exactly? Does the smoker travel to another location while tightly gripping the seized survivor and drops him somewhere within reach, isolating that person from his team? Was he a support infected, engage for a brief instance, hatch a distraction, seclude player, and repeat? A stealthy abductor kinda reminds me of one of the race ability in Evolve. I'm probably completely off from this. Nonetheless, the developers deem that ability to be challenging for the players, but they should really buff his smoke. It's nearly non-existent, like a little bother for 5 seconds. Tanky, that's impossible. It's precisely 9,000! In the current game, his health is set at 6,000 in Versus, caps at 8,000 in Advanced and Experts. Does that mean this isn't even his full power? Nani? He can throw multiple rocks at the survivors, more than one rock? Witchy was actually pretty fucking scary. Initially, she would chase down and strike the entire group of survivors upon being startled. She had an unrelenting commitment to slaughter everyone. Everyone who's associated with the unlucky son of a bitch who meddled with her daily routine. There's an unquenchable bloodlust, thirsting to drain the blood of the petrified players. It doesn't matter if you weren't in her presence when the incident took place, if you didn't see her, hear her, smell her, be several hundred meters away, idling in a safe room, taking a shit in real life, you're on her laundry list, and she has to do her laundry. You can run, you can hide, you can even play another cooperative multiplayer game, but eventually, laundry has to be done. Make the witch great again! Though this is too extreme. It was deemed too difficult to handle, as she would often eliminate the entire team with little trouble. However, a buff is majorly needed since her role is to inspire fear. Well, nowadays, she's just there. Critically raise her stats to sustain and elevate the fright she has left. Increase her speed, reaction time, killing time, etc. One last thing, Witchy was going to have black hair and black clothes instead of white hair and white clothes. So which appearance makes you shit your pants more? Charlie's first concept art shows that he was originally planned to be a large animalistic infected with a bulky back and T-Rex arms. Spitty could drench the survivors with his corrosive sludge of acid, inflicting 76 damage with a single patch of acidic goo. What the fuck? She wasn't always the sizzling, fervent gal with a flabby stomach you see before you. She used to have a large, rounded stomach to brew her acidic goo. However, playtesters thought she was pregnant, and that's just mean. Jock, the bane of my existence, would have the survivors stay in first person with his hands obscuring the screen when he rides you. And supposedly he was the closest special infected to be the first in the official game to have the ability to dismount their targets after pinning them at their own will. Wish they kept that function for Jock. Yeah, he's the most annoying, yet weakest. Cut infected time. The Screamer, a potential boss infected bounded in a straitjacket that lurks in different areas, and once startled, it will flee from danger and attract a massive horde with its agonizing scream. He's also a parent of many infected, having inherited a trait from the scrapped infected. Boomy, attracting hordes, Hunty, the harrowing screams, Jock, the crazed laughter, and fallen survivors, the instinct to flee. He was deemed too difficult and confusing for the survivors to spot and track down amongst a crowd of common infected. The Leaker was a support infected being developed in Left 4 Dead 2. It had the ability to plant itself in the ground and act as a mind bomb. It was removed because players could easily avoid it, as the Leaker would alert them as it was planting itself. These are infected concept art that were presumably scrapped early in the development stages. An infected that houses a large colony of rats. It doesn't really suit Left 4 Dead, but sure. A giant mass of thick and sturdy fat called meat wall. My weight on this infected, that is a gluttonous sloth that doesn't partake in the action. He's more of a spectator than a participant in the kill. When a survivor is pinned, it speedily rushes to the activity taking place and observes the show in the front row, adding a layer of protection for the special infected, blocking all shots going in that general direction as if it was like a meat wall. Creepy ass infected named Claus. He actually looks fucking scary. An infected pig called Hellhog, which opens a lot of doors, like animal infected. And versus, the infected player had the ability to select which infected they wanted to play as, which could be a good idea if they execute it correctly with the service of the AI director, managing the selections to preserve balance, preventing a team of 4 pinning infected to exist. The AI director hands out a distinct small set of options to pick from for each infected player. And here's the last rejected feature that piqued my interest, probably one of the most requested feature the community clamored for to be in the game. In Versus, players were able to take control of common infected while waiting to respawn as a special infected. This was scrapped as it was deemed too difficult for many players to attack the survivors as they were always competing against AI controlled infected. Okay.